The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor of the House and take your seats. All members will report to the floor of the House. Clerk will ring the bell. Okay. All members, please take your seats. We are about to have the morning roll call. We are about to have morning roll call. Okay, Mr. Clerk, please unlock the machines. All members present in the chamber will vote green to signify their presence. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. I'm going to forewarn you, we've got a very busy day. And we're going to be a little bit different this morning. At the end of the pledge, I will have the doors unlocked, but I'm going to ask that members of the House please remain seated as we have a very special guest that we'll be introducing immediately after the pledge and before we greet the chaplain and before we go on to the rest of our business. So please remain at order after the pledge to the flag. We will begin our day this morning with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 57th House District, Representative Brian Prince. Representative Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. It is an honor for me to introduce to some, but to share with all, my pastor, my friend, and my brother, the Reverend Dr. Charles E. Goodman, Jr. Dr. Goodman serves as the senior pastor and teacher of the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church of Augusta, Georgia. But he does not serve alone. Please join me in welcoming part of his staff, Ms. Charlene Patterson, Ms. Zebra Jefferson, and Ms. Joyce Freeman, who brought, please stand. Colleagues, it has been said that those who require a long introduction probably don't deserve him, and those that deserve a long introduction don't need it. I present to you the Reverend Dr. Charles E. Goodman.
Good morning. We pray that this is an amazing day for you as you are going through the business of once again ordering and directing the future and history of this great state of Georgia. To our speaker, thank you so much for this gracious opportunity to come, to Representative Prince and Representative Howard and others who are representing what we call this great Augusta Day. It is awesome to be in this place. Once again, I'm appreciative of our staff and others who have allowed us to be here, others who are from Augusta. We are so grateful to be in this place. Something to meditate on this morning. The year was 1989. I was 10 years old, and a movie came out called Do the Right Thing. It was directed by Spike Lee, and at that time, It was a very revolutionary movie. Spike Lee, who didn't just direct it but also starred in it, his character was named Mookie. And the whole film really is about the tension that they felt in that moment as he was recalling life in a New York neighborhood. Really, the whole premise of that movie, there are certain pivotal periods, but the real crux of that movie was he was trying to challenge the viewer to look at the actions of those in the movie to see if they would do the right thing. I submit to you today, long before Spike Lee put that out in cinema, that there was a man by the name of Paul who wrote that same words. As we look at 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 21, Paul said these words. He said, indeed, we are giving careful thought to do the right thing, not just in front of God, but also in front of people. My simple charge for all of you today is to remember that we are called to do the right thing. Paul said it this way, not just in front of God, but also to make sure that I do it in front of people. The question's raised, especially in this day and age, what is the difference? How can I meander and push between what can sometimes be a fine line between right and wrong? You have been voted, you have been called by God in a position where ultimately every single day, every decision, every moment, we're called to do the right thing. Number one, I submit that if we're going to be able to do the right thing, it takes authenticity of our actions. In other words, we got to make sure that the actions that we push forward through are authentic. At the end of the day, you can only bring yourself to every moment, every decision. Are you being your authentic self? Are you being transparent in the moment to understand that what I am doing, what I feel assigned to, is going to be able to be a blessing and be able to be helpful? In other words, to do the right thing, you got to be authentic. But also, I also believe to do the right thing, you got to be passionate in your pursuits. That whatever we are doing here, whether the business of government, my business of helping people and encourage them in the strength of God, is that we must make sure that the only way things can really be changed, it takes some passion. And I believe that all of us understand that you can't do any kind of civic work and not have any passion. You cannot toe the line between right and wrong if you do not have passion. You got to understand that only people who are passionate will really make a difference. I love that quote by John Wesley. Matter of fact, he said, if you set yourself on fire with enthusiasm, people will come miles from away to see you burn. And hopefully, I pray that all of us would burn with the right things. That's my aim today. Not only is authenticity in action, not only passionate in our pursuits, but I leave you with this last thought, that if we're going to do the right thing, we must have integrity in our intentions. At the end of the day, integrity is such a major thing. I know that that word nowadays is losing its luster, but integrity still matters. I still believe that internal fortitude, that things that makes us strong. Integrity literally is just a word picture of what you would consider the hold of a ship, the thing that keeps it buoyant and keeps it above water. That what we are called to do is maintain our integrity. At the end of the day, can you sleep well knowing the decisions you made, the things you've done, that not only did God approve, but also the people we're called to serve? At the end of the day, on this great Augusta day, I challenge you every step of the day, do the right thing. God, we thank you. We bless you. And we honor you. We've been challenged today, and God, there's so much that is on our plate, and we ask that you give us the strength to do the right thing. I thank you for those who serve in this great capacity, serve our great state. And God, I know that we're pushed and pulled in so many different ways, but Lord, we want you to know that we're going to draw the line and do our best to be authentic, to be passionate, and to maintain our integrity. That is our call in this moment, and we thank you again for being with us. That's our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. May we do the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hang around, we'll get a picture.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
House will be in order. I'll ask all members of the House to please take your seats. We are very honored to have with us a very special guest this morning. Keisha Lantz Bottoms is the 60th mayor of the city of Atlanta. Prior to her election as mayor, she spent 8 years representing a large portion of southwest Atlanta on the Atlanta City Council. In addition to her service on the City Council, Mayor Bottoms also served as Executive Director of the Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority. A graduate of Florida A&M and the Georgia State University School of Law, she is a lawyer who has been in private practice for more than 20 years. She and her family live in southwest Atlanta with her husband Derek and their 4 children, Lance, Langston, Lincoln, and Lennox. When I was first entrusted with this position back in January 2010, the city of Atlanta had just elected a new mayor. And one of my colleagues mentioned that there at one time had been a tradition that the House would invite the mayor of Atlanta to the chamber, but that we had gone through 2 or 3 mayors at that point without having done that. And I'm not sure if that was our fault or where the fault lie. But we invited Mayor Bottom's predecessor, Mayor Reed, over, and I think it began a great partnership. And Mayor Bottoms, I want to tell you that I look forward to continuing that partnership with the mayor of the capital city of our state. Please make welcome to the House Chamber the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, Mayor Keisha Lantz Bottoms.
Well, good morning. It is certainly a pleasure to be here today to address all of you all, and this is one of those pinch me moments, because the first time I came into this chamber, Mr. Speaker, it was up there as a student. And so to stand here today as the 60th mayor of Atlanta as your guest really will go down in history as one of the proudest moments that I will have, I am sure, as mayor. And I can tell you that as I contemplated all of the things that needed to be addressed as mayor of Atlanta, I was a bit apprehensive about what my relationships would be like at the state. It can be pretty scary over here. But I was reminded when I came in to see you, Mr. Speaker, that we are so much more alike than we are different. Whether it is our citizens, we are talking about our citizens in Blue Ridge, or our families on Bankhead, we still care all about the same things. And I was ever reminded of that when I walked into your office and you told me that you love my daddy. And so I knew this was gonna be a good relationship. I brought 2 CDs today of my father, Major Lantz, and you can share one if you like or not, but these are both for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
As a member of City Council for the past 8 years, I had the opportunity to watch up close, as many of you all did, the relationship that my predecessor, Mayor Reed, had with Governor Deal. And it really is a relationship that legends are made of. And because I'm so competitive, I am determined to have even better relationships over here. So I'm so grateful to the Atlanta delegation for their support and their service, and also grateful to all of you all. I know that we all know that a good working relationship between the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia really is a model that should be followed across this country. What we have learned from the city is what is good for the state is good for Atlanta. and I know that you feel the same way. We also know that our partnerships bring great returns to both the state and the city, whether it be the college football championship game, or whether it be the attraction of a really big company that we hope to hear from soon. We know that it's ever important that we work and that we communicate. And I know that I was very proud just last week in giving national interviews and asked the question, what's it like to be a mayor in Georgia? And what I was very proud to share is that we have a model that is the envy of the nation, that we work together for a common good, that we communicate. And although we may not always agree, we always feel heard. And I'm so excited to continue that trend and to continue to represent Georgia, to represent Atlanta, and to represent us as a model to the rest of the country. In the city of Atlanta, there are many challenges that face us, many challenges that are very similar to the ones that you all will face in your respective districts, whether it be affordability, whether it be addressing transportation, education, or job expansion. We know that it's ever important that we be mindful of the people who we have been called to serve. In the city of Atlanta, we have reformed our pension system, going from $7.4 million in reserves in 2010 to more than $200 million today. As we experience a AA credit rating, I'm very excited that we will pursue a AAA credit rating. We know that Hartsville-Jackson International Airport continues to be the busiest and most efficient in the world, and that was confirmed just this week when it was named again as such for the 14th straight year. In the last 8 years, 21 companies have announced their headquarters in Atlanta. And again, it's because of the great working relationship that we have with the state. I look forward to continuing that relationship. I look forward to us working together. I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. And Mr. Speaker, I look forward to us dancing to my dad's music together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's get a picture. Some of you may or not know that the mayor's father, Major Lantz, was one of the great R&B singers that this city and state ever produced. And if you need any proof of that, if you'll go back and find video of one of the first visits to America by the Beatles, when they got off the plane at the airport in New York, Paul McCartney had one of her dad's albums under his arm, carrying it off the plane. So you can be proud. Thank you very much. Please feel free to greet the chaplain. I think the mayor has to leave, but the chaplain of the day and Representative Prince will be available. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, 159th, moves the following being established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 788 by Representative Stovall, the 74th turn of the 21st, Jones the 91st. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 13 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20. The official code of Georgia annotated relating to the organization of schools and school systems under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 789 by Representative Fleming of the 121st, Werkheiser the 157th, Shaw the 176th. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 34 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to labor and industrial relations.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 790 by Representative Estration of the 104th, Rogers of the 10th, Rhodes of the 120th, Coomer of the 14th, Willard of the 51st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 13 of Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the Office of State Administrative Hearings.
Judiciary.
House Bill 791 by Representative Estration of the 104th, Rogers of the 10th, Rhodes of the 120th, Coomer of the 14th, and Willard of the 51st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 21 of Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the waiver of sovereign immunity.
Judiciary.
House Bill 792 by Representative Rogers of the 10th, Rhodes of the 120th, Abstration of the 104th, and next to the 69th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to waste management.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 793 by Representative Laricchia of the 169th, Perkle of the 155th, Lott of the 122nd, Dubnik of the 29th, Hanson of the 80th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding state sales and use tax.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 794 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Mitchell of the 88th, Trammell of the 132nd, Thomas of the 56th, and Jackson of the 64th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to lottery for education.
Higher Education.
House Bill 795 by Representatives Gravely of the 67th, Hilton of the 95th, Williamson of the 115th, Coomer the 14th, and Kelly the 16th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 34 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the Department of Labor.
Industry and Labor.
House Bill 796 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, Shaw of the 176th, Smith of the 70th, and Laricchia of the 169th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from state sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 797 by Representative Laricchia of the 169th, Epps of the 144th, Devenball of the 1st, McGowan of the 138th, and Caldwell of the 111th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 40-2-86 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to special license plates.
Motor Vehicles.
House Bill 798 by Representative Ballinger the 23rd, Gravely the 67th, Peskin the 54th, Ridley the 6th, Watson the 172nd, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 40-2-86.1 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to special license plates.
Motor Vehicles.
House Bill 799 by Representative Cooper the 43rd, Smith the 134th, Blackman the 146th, Hatchett the 150th, Gardner the 57th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 28 of Title 33 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to patient protection.
Insurance.
House Bill 800 by Representative Bonner the 72nd, Werkheiser the 157th, Shaw the 176th, and Carpenter the 4th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 9 of Title 34, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to administration related to workers' compensation.
Industry and Labor.
House Bill 801 by Representative Hilton of the 95th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Cassius of the 107th, Teasley of the 37th, Glanton of the 75th, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elementary and secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 802 by Representative Willard of the 51st, Rakestraw of the 19th, Trammell of the 132nd, and Oliver of the 82nd. Bill be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17 and Article 2 of Chapter 9 of Title 42 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 803 by Representative Willard of the 51st, Cooper of the 43rd, Cox of the 108th, Lumsden of the 12th, Reinders of the 152nd, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Article 8 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to protection of elder persons.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 804 by Representative Clark of the 147th, Powell of the 32nd, Jaspers of the 11th, Epps of the 144th, Gravely of the 67th, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40-8-73.1 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to fixing of materials.
Motor vehicles.
House Resolution 991 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Mitchell of the 88th, Trammell of the 132nd, Thomas of the 56th, and Jackson of the 64th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide for the proceeds of one or more lottery games.
Higher education.
House Resolution 992 by Representative Tanner of the 9th, Welch of the 110th, Coleman of the 97th, Epps of the 144th, Parrish of the 158th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the use of local sales and use taxes.
Education.
House Resolution 993 by Representative F. Stration of the 104th, Rogers of the 10th, Rhodes of the 120th, Coomer of the 14th, Wood of the 51st, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to create a business court with statewide jurisdiction.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 257 by Senator Heath of the 31st. A bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 4 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to animals.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 771 by Representative Nix of the 69th, a bill to amend an act providing Heard County Board of Education. House Bill 772 by Representative Powell of the 171st, a bill to provide a new charter for the city of Camilla. House Bill 773 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill relating to abandoned motor vehicles. House Bill 774 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill relating to property. House Bill 775 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill relating to real estate appraisers. House Bill 776 by Representative Douglas of the 78th, a bill relating to healthcare facilities. House Bill 777 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill relating to the historic Chattahoochee Compact. House Bill 778 by Representative England of the 116th, a bill relating to education. House Bill 779 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill relating to emergency management. House Bill 780 by Representative Williamson of the 115th, a bill relating to financial institutions. House Bill 781 by Representative Tanner of the 9th, a bill relating to county sales and use taxes. House Bill 782 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th, a bill relating to privacy and confidentiality. House Bill 783 by Representative Caldwell of the 20th, a bill to amend various titles of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated so as to repeal provisions. House Bill 784 by Representative Dubnik of the 29th, a bill relating to special license plates promoting and supporting certain beneficial projects, causes, agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. House Bill 785 by Representative Nix of the 69th, a bill relating to definitions relative to solid waste management. House Bill 786 by Representative Fry of the 118th, a bill relating to enumeration of unfair methods of competition and unfair or deceptive acts or practices regarding insurance. House Bill 787 by Representative Hilton of the 95th, a bill relating to education. House Resolution 967 by Representative Cox of the 108th, the resolution recognizing November 18th of each year as Deputy Commander Patrick Carruthers Day. House Resolution 968 by Representative Jones of the 167th, resolution dedicating the Georgia Grown Trail 17. House Resolution 969 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th, the resolution to ratify an amendment to the United States Constitution. Senate Bill 131 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, the bill relating to general provisions of the Juvenile Code. Senate Bill 321 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, a bill relating to civil penalties for false or fraudulent Medicaid claims. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Battles, the 15th District Chairman of the Committee on Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Retirement is under consideration the following bills of the House. And is instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 538 do pass. House Bill 588 do pass. House Bill 692 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Battles of the 15th District Chairman. Representative Jaspers, the 11th District Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Higher Education has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 700 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jaspers, the 11th District Chairman.
All right, we're about to go into morning orders. This House will come to order. House will be at order. If you're inside this chamber, then please take your seat and cease conversation and give respect to the members in the well. Before we begin morning orders, Chair wants to recognize on the floor of the House a former member of this body, former State Representative Jim Cole. Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Mike Glanton. Representative Glanton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, good morning. This morning is today actually is the first day of Black History Month, and I'd like to dedicate my moment in Black history to my great-great-grandfather, Richard Kent, and his granddaughter, my grandmother, Catherine McClintock. And I should have a picture on the screen, or do I have it this morning? Okay. That's my great-great-grandfather, Richard Kent. It looks just like me, don't it? Yeah, thank you. and I believe the picture of my grandmother is there as well. So here's my moment in Black history. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to dance, to whirl until the bright day is done. Then to rest the cool evening beneath a tall, slim tree while night comes on gently, dark like me. This is my hope. This is my dream. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to whirl until that bright day is done. Then to rest the cool evening beneath a tall, slim tree while night comes on gently, black like me. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh, ha ha, and I eat well, and I grow strong. Tomorrow, they won't dare send me to the kitchen when company comes. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, my moment in Black history.
Chair recognizes Representative Spencer for a morning order.
Well, good morning, everyone. You have on your desk, I have a sheet here with several silos front and back I'd like to bring your attention to one side that starts, there's a date at the title, May 2017. The Hidden Predator Act was passed in 2015, and many of you were here in this chamber when we passed that legislation. At that time, Georgia was on new legal footing. We had never done anything like this before. But when that key provision in the Hidden Predator Act expired in July of 2017, Georgia went from one of the middle states, we were actually one of the worst states in the country before the Hidden Predator Act passed. But when that key provision expired, we have gone back into the worst category amongst the states that do not give the justice and victims time to seek out their perpetrators and anyone who tried to cover up child sexual abuse. This is a serious issue. Most of you have been touched by child sexual abuse in one way or another in your families, amongst your friends. 1 in 4 girls are molested. 1 in 6 boys are molested. This is a serious issue. The legacy of the Hidden Predator Act cannot die. We have uncovered conspiracy to cover up child sexual abuse in the state of Georgia. We need to go further. We do not need to stay as one of the worst states in the country that provides justice to survivors of child sexual abuse. You will also see that we are in company with Alabama, Mississippi, New York, and most recently in the headlines, Michigan. We do not want to stop our legacy that the Hidden Predator Act has created as this body. Let's move forward. Let's provide justice. Justice often goes very slow, but it doesn't have to be denied. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes for a morning order the gentleman from Liberty County, Representative Al Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues in the House, I rise in a memorial moment this morning. As a recent teenager, in 1961, I remember meeting a man of great integrity that the preacher talked about this morning. Remember his influence. His name was Wyatt T. Walker. He had recently been named Chief of Staff, the right-hand man to Dr. King in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and he'd come to Liberty County to train citizenship classes. But one of his great contributions were, a few months later, a couple of years later, along with a group of individuals from all over the South, the Birmingham movement, the planning phase started in Liberty County with Wyatt T. Walker as the catalyst. As a youngster who had no influence, but I stayed around just to listen, and we are products of our environment. And Wyatt T. Walker and his strong leadership in later years as pastor of the Canaan Missionary Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, was a perfect example of integrity and tenacity. Because of him and several others like them, a burning fire was lit in me to seek justice and human rights for the rest of my life. Wyatt T. Walker, who wrote the book, and I suggest anyone that would like to understand the music of the black church, Somebody Calling My Name, explains what the words mean, not just the melody, but how they were born in slavery, and even to this day stands with a beacon, a light, to lead folk in the pursuit of integrity. Thank you, and please keep Wyatt T. Walker, his family, in your prayers. He died on September the 23rd. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Chairman Lynn Smith for a morning order. It looks like she's going to be joined by Representatives Stover and Bonner.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and to the members of the House. We are standing here today as the Coweta County delegation to express our sympathy to the family of Marino Molino, a 15-year-old student from Noonan High School who died from flu-related causes January the 30th. Marino's death has brought to the forefront once more the seriousness of this flu epidemic. We ask you, our colleagues, to stand with us for a moment of silence for Marino and all Georgians who are coping with this illness. Thank you. Amen. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Abel Mabel Thomas for a morning order. Chair recognizes Representative Scott for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor the 33 original black members of this body. 150 years ago, in 1868, 33 rightfully elected members of this body were expelled because this body had not embraced ideas we know how now to be true. They were expelled for being black in a state that had not given up on the false ideal of white supremacy. These 33 black citizens of Georgia, Aaron Bradley, Tunis G. Campbell Sr., George Wallace, T.M. Allen, Eli Barnes, T.B. Beard, E. Belcher, Tunis Campbell Jr., M. Claiborne, C.H. Clore, Abraham Colby, J.T. Costin, Madison Davis, Monday Floyd, F.H. Fowler, R.B. Hall, G. Gardner, W.A. Golden, W.H. Harrison, N.S. Houston, Philip Joyner, George Linder, Robert Lumpkin, Romulus Moore, Peter O'Neill, James Porter, Alfred Richardson, James Sims, Abraham Smith, Alexander Stones, Henry McNeil Turner, John Warren, Samuel Adams, some of them born free and others formerly enslaved, were exercising their right of self-representation and to have political freedom. Today, 150 later, as the Vice Chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, I am an heir to their fight for civil and human rights. The Georgia Legislative Black Caucus now has 60 members who represent every corner of this great state. Our members are educators, lawyers, business people, former members of our armed services, and much more. We remain committed to the work of creating laws we create to live up to the full potential of the values we all believe in. Today, we begin Black History Month by honoring their memory and their struggle. We invite all members of this body to join us at the Heritage Dinner on February 22nd at the Georgia Freight Depot. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House, Chairman Parrish, and Chairman Tankersley for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. It's a good day. As we all know, the leadership in this state is constantly refreshed and replenished by having excellent young leadership come forward. And we have a group here today that I'll recognize and ask them to stand in just a minute that make up the leadership bullet class. Now, Bullock County, home to Georgia Southern University, Statesboro, Georgia, Augusta Technical College, and East Georgia College, a part of the educational system in Bullock County in our state, some of the finest institutions in our state. The leadership in Bullock County have been involved locally and in this state over a number of years and have made a great impact. Now, Bullock County, one of the very top ag counties in this state, cotton, peanuts, cattle, recognized all over the state and the nation for production. Statesboro, the county seat of Bullock County, just completed finishing as one of the top finishers in America's best communities. And to back that up, they received a $1 million award that's been utilized in Statesboro to make positive changes by funding help for the community's development and exceptional ideas and the vision that exists in that community and that county to make changes. Quality of life, ladies and gentlemen, it exists in Bullock County and it's exceptional. A sound educational base, a sound industrial base, a sound agricultural base, quality of life that's unmatched anywhere. And we're very proud today to bring this group to the Capitol, and we look forward to their efforts in the future to continue the great leadership that's been a part of Statesboro and Bullock County and has made an exceptional impact on this state. If you would stand, the leadership class from Bullock County, and colleagues, if you would, help us to welcome them to the state capitol. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Newton and Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm honored to welcome a special group with us here today from our neck of the woods over on the eastern border along the banks of the beautiful Savannah River, the greater Augusta area, Columbia County, Richmond County, and Burke County. It's just a beautiful area of the state. In 1735, General Oglethorpe sent a group up the Savannah River to find a place for the second city in Georgia, and that's our home of Augusta, Georgia. It's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place to raise a family. It's now home to the Medical College of Georgia, which puts healthcare workers in over 150 of the 159 counties in Georgia. So a very special history there. In addition, it's going to be the new home of U.S. Army Cyber Command in Grovetown in Fort Gordon, Georgia. So we're excited about that. It's also home for the state's new Cyber Innovation and Training Center on the banks of that same Savannah River. So we hope you'll take an opportunity to come. I want to welcome the class of Leadership Augusta with us here today and members of the Chambers of Commerce from our counties. Thank y'all for being here. Real quickly, just from the Chambers of Commerce, I do have a little golf course over in our area on the banks of that river, and there's some coasters that were a gift from our Chambers of Commerce. We're real grateful. I want my chairman of our delegation, Wayne Howard, to speak.
Thank you, Representative Newton. We would like to just say welcome to our Leadership Augusta and the Chamber of Commerce here today. I don't want to call in the names because I'll miss somebody and you'll be mad at me. But welcome and thank you for coming to the People's House. Let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you while you're here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dickey for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Peake. Representative Peake. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Monroe County delegation, Representative Peake and Representative Holmes, who's not here today, I just want to welcome the Monroe County here today. They've come up, and it's a great group. It's a great county right down I-75 on the banks of the Okmulgee River, and a great community, and I really appreciate all them taking the time to come today. Our county commission here, Greg Tapley's chairman. Our mayors are here, Mayor of Forsyth, Eric Wilson, and of the great city of Culloden, Lynn Miller, and a great little community in my district there. I see Bo Gregory, head of the economic development team in Monroe County too. We got our fire and our sheriff, John Kerry Biddick, a great sheriff, former head of the Georgia Sheriff's Association and National Sheriff's Association. A great Biddick legacy as sheriff in Monroe County. And Stuart Pippin with the school board there, thank y'all, and I just appreciate what all y'all do in a great community. It's a great place with a lot to do, and I hope y'all greet them. It's also a great place for fried green tomatoes and some sweet Georgia peaches also are grown in Monroe County. And so couldn't help putting in that plug. So thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for what you do.
Stand up and we'll welcome.
Stand up and we'll welcome y'all. Please welcome them. It's also the public safety capital of our state with the public safety training center there and the Department of Corrections. So a great, important community in our state.
Chair recognizes Representative Abel Mabel Thomas for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this distinguished body. I rise today to just sort of speak on something I saw in the news yesterday. I saw on Channel 2 and Channel 5, there was a story about a hit and run, and this particular hit and run was in my district. It was on Martin Luther King, at the corner of Martin Luther King and Wellington by Mosley Park, and this particular driver left the street and went airborne into the park, which is Mosley Park. Before going airborne, before going into the park, hit a citizen that was walking, and they were injured. They have not necessarily died from their injury, but they were in bad condition. But the thing about it is that driver did run, but because he was moving so fast in the street, somebody thought that something was abnormal about that, and they did take a picture of the vehicle. I don't know if they got the tag, but they took a picture of the vehicle and put a warning out to body shops, because they're if they found a Honda with between two SUV from 2003 to 2005 trying to get a repair, to call the police. But the point of the story is that some of you may know that we put a bill in dealing with hit and run, and my co-sponsors are Representative Willard, Gonzalez, Bodie, Dreyer, Hughley, and Bennett. And what we're just trying to say is that these incidents are increasing, and we have something dealing with CJ law, which is House Bill 765, but it seems that people are not taking seriously the issue of people's lives, because just them stopping or coming back, they could actually save that person's life, because the person usually sometimes dies by the second person because they left in the road. So I'm just sort of encouraging all of you to pray with me as I pray with these families throughout Georgia that are being victims of hit and run. We think that it should not be a misdemeanor, because this does affect people's lives. And so we have a little old bill that cleans up some code sections and also gives honor and gives some relief to families around the injuries they've received. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members of the body.
House will be at order. House will come to order. Chair recognizes Representative Newton to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a real treat for me to introduce the Doctor of the Day, a fellow physician from Augusta area, one from the front lines of that flu epidemic we heard about, who's on the front lines of the opioid epidemic and how to solve it for Georgians. I'm proud to introduce Judson Pinkett. He is a graduate of the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston, which the beautiful thing, though, is our Medical College of Georgia was able to attract him to a residency program in family medicine several years ago, where he finished his training, an extensive amount of training, and now he's on the front lines serving us, and I'm just honored to welcome Dr. Judson Pinkett from Augusta, Georgia, as Doctor of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Newton, for that introduction. I'd also like to thank Representative Brian Prince as well, who represents me. It is certainly my honor and pleasure to be here today, and I want to thank the support of Medical Association of Georgia and Ms. Julia Mack in the clinic, and we're there to serve you. I bring you greetings from Augusta, Georgia, where I practice medicine in a group called the Family Medicine Associates of Georgia. We're a 4-member family medicine group, but we also have 3 physician assistants and 2 nurse practitioners, where we provide primary care for Augusta and the greater Augusta area. Also, I want to bring you greetings from Augusta University and the Medical College of Georgia, where I am a clinical professor. We teach third-year medical students as they rotate through our office in their core clerkship in family medicine. It is our hope that our efforts will retain these physicians for the state of Georgia, and that we'll make more doctors who can stay. Also, I just want to thank you all for what you do in your work and service representing the citizens of this great state of Georgia. I know that the physicians care for the patients, care about the Georgia citizens, and we appreciate the effort of our legislature to ensure that we all have a great health care system here in Georgia. Thank you.
House will be at order. House will remain at order. We are about to recognize some very distinguished guests with us today. The clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 953.
House Resolution 953 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd Coop of the 43rd, Hardin of the 148th, Parrish of the 158th, Green of the 151st, and others. A resolution recognizing February 1st, 2018 as Community Health Centers Day and commending the Georgia Primary Care Association, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Darlene Taylor for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, today is Community Health Center Day. The mission of the Community Health Center system is to improve access to comprehensive health care services for the medically underserved of Georgia. Community Health Centers of Georgia began to work over 40 years ago, partnering with communities to bring this access of important health care. It's very important, especially in our rural communities. Currently, there are 34 separate, distinct health center organizations. All are nonprofit 501(c)s. They have their own directors, and that board of directors is made up of patients as well as community leaders. Over the past 15 years, Georgia has experienced tremendous growth in the health center systems. In 2017, over 600,000 patients were served by our Georgia community health centers. From an economic standpoint, and as a system of outpatient health centers, Georgia's community health centers employ nearly 3,500 employees, and the payroll is $135 million. I want you to know that the Medicaid dollars that we spend are a savings for the state budget. They are able to operate at less and save money for us. Also by controlling chronic disease and by making a reduction in the number of unnecessary ER visits. As you can see by the map that each of you have on your desk, you probably have a center in your community. If you don't, they're using a neighbor community. We appreciate all that they do, and for not just us, but our districts and all the people of Georgia. Today we have a special day to congratulate them, and with us today are some of their leaders. Thank you for what you do and what you do for all of Georgia. Today, please help me welcome Dr. Brian Williams, the president of the association.
Mr. Speaker and distinguished members of the House, it is my pleasure and honor to stand before you today representing the community health centers in Georgia. Thank you for recognizing the community health centers and for your support over the past 40 years. The community health centers throughout the state operate in medically underserved areas, often the only healthcare provider in rural communities. And last year we provided healthcare to over 500,000 patients in the state of Georgia. The community health centers meet the need of the community, meet the needs of our communities. Thank you again for your commitment, for your ongoing support, and for your enabling us to be able to provide local care to the residents of Georgia. Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 961.
House Resolution 961 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, Lumsden of the 12th, and Coomer the 14th. A resolution congratulating the Rome High School football team on winning the GHSA 5A State Football Championship and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dempsey for an invite resolution.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it's time to recognize another football team, the most special one in the state, actually, certainly in my heart. Today, it's my privilege to honor the Rome High School football team, the Rome Wolves, on another glorious season. They were the victors in the Georgia High School 5A State Football Championship again. It's the second year in a row. I'm joined today by Coach John Reed, Adam Anderson, TJ K-Mac, Jackson Norton, KJ Hicks, some of their friends and colleagues and teammates up in the gallery, if you'll wave to us, as well as our superintendent. Stand up for us, stand up. So we're privileged to have them here today, but there's about half of them already over in the Senate, and they're anxious to get a hold of them. So I'm just going to take a minute to tell you, yesterday we heard about a great victory, seized at the very last moment in another game. Well, these guys don't do it. They don't play it that way, actually. They completed the season with a record 15-0 schedule. They have the strongest record ever with 20 straight games won. This season, the team scored 758 points to become the highest scoring team in the history of Georgia in all, hear that again, all classifications. Yeah, it does. That deserves a little round of applause. It does. They averaged 50 points per game and 46.2 per game in the playoffs. And they met previously undefeated Warner Robins. The road there was not easy. They were gathered in the stadium over at Mercedes-Benz on December the 8th, ready to go on the field, when a unique ice storm had hit Georgia, and they were shut down. And all of that adrenaline and energy had to be put back in the box, but it gave them one more week to practice and one more week to get ready and travel then to Warner Robins instead of Mercedes, and to become the #1 team in Georgia, awarded by Max Preps in all classifications, and the #2 team in our nation. I'm privileged to be here with Adam Anderson also, who was named the Player of the Year in Georgia for all classifications. Adam, give him a big wave real quick. Yeah. And 7 of our Rome football players were named to the Georgia 5A state championship team. But I want you to meet the driver behind all of this. The heart and the soul is Coach John Reed and his staff in their 3rd year of coaching, who have won 2 state championships in a row. Thank you, Coach Reed.
Thank you, Representative Dempsey. We are very, very fortunate to be able to represent the state of Georgia as the state champions. I also want to thank everybody in this great institution for all they do for education and all they've done for our kids. It's an honor to represent Floyd County and the city of Rome as the 2017 5A state champions. It's also an honor to be called state champions in such a great state for football. We are also representing Rome High School, which has a rich tradition in academics, the arts, and athletics now. Credit for this championship would not be possible without the support of our superintendent, who is up there in the gallery today, our school board, our school administration, teachers, students, and parents. We are Rome. Also, I want to make sure that, and Representative Dempsey already spoke about this, that this team is historic. It's one of the finest teams to ever take the field in the history of Rome, or of high school football in Georgia. I want to mention just a couple people that are huge importance. And Ms. Dempsey was nice enough to call me the driving force. I got a coaching staff that just lets me do my job as coach, and they do a tremendous job. Wayne Groves, up there in the gallery, defensive coordinator. Chris Bowden, up there, offensive coordinator. Coach Barry Hall, offensive line. Coach John Lovingood, linebackers. Coach Nick Bridges, receivers. Coach Jason King, running backs. Coach Jason Colts, freshman. Coach Cody Amos, freshman. Coach Dennis Toney, freshman. Coach Jim Tejek, freshman. These men were worked for 6 straight months, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day to get this done. And we thank you, and thanks for everything you do for our schools and Georgia in general. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 934.
House Resolution 934 by Representatives Jaspers of the 11th, McCall of the 33rd, Laricchia of the 169th, England of the 116th, Holmes of the 129th, and others. A resolution commending the 4-H clubs of Georgia, Mr. Mason McClintock, Mr. Arch D. Smith, and the 2017-2018 4-H leadership team, and recognizing February 1st, 2018 as 4-H Day at the state capitol and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Laricchia for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of you know that today is 4-H Day at the Capitol, and you've seen these green jackets around, even a few in the chamber with Chairman McCall. But I want to, real quick, if you don't mind, if the 4-H members in the gallery will stand up and let us welcome you this morning. Thank you very, very much. We are so proud of you for what you do and the leadership skills that you're learning through 4-H. For 114 years, Georgia 4-H, a unit of cooperative extension in the Georgia College of Agriculture and Environmental Science and University of Georgia, has provided educational opportunities for 4-H members in our state. Research validates that youth in 4-H succeed, they stay in school, and they become contributing members and citizens of our great state. Today we recognize 21 outstanding 4-H members for their leadership, and today with them joining us is Dr. Laura Perry Johnson, Associate Dean for Extension with the University of Georgia College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and Mr. Arch Smith, the Director of State 4-H. It's my pleasure to introduce to you a Mr. Mason Mcclintock from Bacon County in District 169, the President of the 2017-18 Georgia 4-H State Board of Directors, who will address the Chamber on behalf of the Georgia 4-Hers, more than 168,000 members in Georgia.
Speaker Ralston and ladies and gentlemen of the House of Representatives, good morning. I'm Mason McClintock, an 11th grade Bacon County 4-Her and President of Georgia 4-H. This year I'm honored to represent over 168,000 Georgia 4-Hers across the state. These 4-H members are offered a diverse array of programs, ranging from agriculture to fine arts, from sports to workforce preparation and career development. Regardless of our ethnic, socioeconomic, or geographical backgrounds, to develop our individuality and passions while allowing room enough for us to reach outside of our comfort zones. But none of this would be possible without our 120 Extension 4-H agents, program assistants, and over 5,000 volunteers across the state. These individuals guide and mentor us throughout our lives, both within and outside of 4-H. Yes, Georgia 4-H is indeed growing the leaders of tomorrow. However, 4-H equips us to be the leaders of today. On behalf of the University of Georgia College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, Cooperative Extension, and all 4-H members, I extend our appreciation to you. By supporting 4-H, you are investing in the future of our state and our nation. Thank you.
House will be at ease just for a moment. Okay, the House will come back to order. So here's our posture. We're going to take a lunch break. I know there are a number of groups that have come a great distance to visit with us today, and the Chair wants you to have an opportunity to visit with them. I'm also of the belief that we have, according to others in the building, a tentative agreement on a very high priority piece of legislation to this House. I'm hoping that by taking a little more time over the lunch hour that we will be able to bring that before you today, because that would be a fine thing to leave and go home for the weekend on. But we shall see what we shall see on that. This House will be in recess for lunch until 1 o'clock p.m.